Hey everyone, welcome back to Bros and Shows. I am your host, Josiah, aka Mahler67. And with me, as always, I got my buddy, I got my pal, I got my brother Austin. Austin, how are you doing tonight?
Not too bad at all.
Hey, that's good to hear. Sorry about the week off, everyone. I am dealing with medical issues galore. I don't know what's wrong. Yeah, I'm still in my opening voice. If you've been watching, you know that I've been dealing with sciatica for the last month, and then I went to Rocky Horror Picture Show. It got so much worse, and last week I just couldn't get out. I haven't been able to sit in my chair, and today I'm sitting in my chair. Luckily, I am very awkwardly positioned, but I am able to sit. And we're going to try our best to do this episode because we like to continue instead of paying Netflix for more money for more weeks. But Austin and I already said that our next show will be Scott Pilgrim versus the World since it comes out on the 17th.
Scott Pilgrim Face Off.
That's
what it's called. But it's Scott Pilgrim versus the World. That's all it is, but they call it Face Off. I don't know why.
Yeah, they have to name it differently so that way people can actually look it up.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm hoping. I've been trying to get medically things checked out. Went to their urgent care multiple times, and first time they're like, it's sciatica. Here, take some anti-inflammatory. It'll go away. You'll feel great. Didn't do anything. I wasn't feeling much different. Went back, and then they're like, yeah, it sounds like sciatica. Here, take some steroids. It'll make you feel great. If not, you should definitely go to orthopedic then. I'm like, okay, cool. And I let Austin know this, but I called the orthopedics. They're like, yeah, we could get you in relatively sometime this week. What's your insurance? I'm like, oh, it's this company. It's like, oh, we don't accept that. You'll have to pay out of pocket if you're coming here. I'm like, oh, man. So I had to look for what was in service, and guess what? I found one. I found one in network near where I'm at. I'm like, that's cool. They're like, yeah, the earliest we can get you in there is December 13th. Almost a month away.
Yep.
And I'm like, I am over here dying on my bed because I cannot do nothing. I sit on my phone watching Hell's Kitchen, Hotel Hell, and playing my Switch Stardew Valley, which I've played more than I've ever thought I would play because I didn't think I really liked the game the first time I did. Now I'm kind of getting onto it. But I'm done. I want to play my other games. I want to play Baldur's Gate. I want to do other things. I want to leave my house. It sucks. I want to play my VTM LARP. I haven't been able to play for the last couple games because of this, and it's just too bad. Kind of being forced to deal with it. So that's what my life is in the Nocturnus hell that I'm dealing with. Austin, you dealing with anything bad, or are you just enjoying your life? Hopefully you're enjoying your life.
I'm going through some health stuff right now, but it is what it is. I have a doctor's appointment actually tomorrow. I found out that I can go tomorrow.
Cool.
So I'm pretty excited to figure out what's going on, because I've been dealing with some health issues, and I'm pretty sure that it's kidney related. So hopefully that just works out, and we figure all that out, and it's just an infection or something, but it
Something
happens
simple.
to people.
Yep.
Yeah, hopefully that's what I'm hoping for. So I'm hoping for the best.
Hope for the best.
But yeah, so since we haven't seen each other in a while, I went to Pittsburgh. I got to see you for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I went to a band called Mac Sabbath, which is a parody band of Black Sabbath, but it's McDonald's related. It's ridiculous. It was a lot of fun. And then I went to a retro video game con over the weekend, and I got to go there and get to see some of the cool stuff that was happening over there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got my Wild Bill's soda cup. They're always at cons, so I got my cup and we're good to go. But yeah, that was pretty much all I've done in the last couple weeks. So
well,
but yeah,
sounds great. Wish I could do it.
Yeah,
like the one TikTok thing's it's cute. Wish I could get it.
Wish I could get it.
Man, I'm just really hoping one of these days I just wake up and the pain's all gone and I'm just like, oh, hallelujah. Praise Jeebus.
That happened to me. That happened to me because like I was like a stubborn 21-year-old when I worked at the pottery, and like when I hurt my back and pinched my sciatic, it went on for like 3 months where like it was just like nonstop. I didn't go to any doctor. I was just like, I'm gonna tough this out. And then, you know, it just went away after a while, but I still was like, oh, maybe it's a back issue the whole time. And then like I was like, maybe I should have went to the doctor. Which in reality, I did it again like I think it was like 8 years ago. It was like 8 years ago. I did it again, like right when I met Sid. We were living in an apartment, and we were moving from that apartment to another. It was a duplex at the time. We were moving to a Chestnut, and I made her this like metal sign that I used her dad's welder for to say I love you and stuff. And she hung it up behind the oven, and when it fell behind the oven one night, and then when I went to go move, she was like, I want that sign. Can you get me that sign? Can you get me that sign? So I went to go pull the oven out, and the oven was not coming out. So then I grabbed the oven door in the oven. I went to go yank, and the oven door came off, and I fell. And I was like in pain forever. And then I finally went to the doctor, and they're like, yeah, you pinched your sciatic. And I was like, oh, and they're like, here's some anti-inflammatory, and here's like some painkiller. And I was like, oh, okay, thank you. And then within like 2 weeks it was gone. I was like, oh, okay, I'm back to normal.
You know what's messed up is that they didn't give me painkillers.
Oh,
they gave me anti-inflammatory, and then they gave me muscle relaxers for spasms. And
oh well, no, mine wasn't a painkiller. It was a muscle relaxer. It was Trevix or something, or Tredix. It was like 5 milligrams. It wasn't like anything powerful enough.
No. So. But it's still one of those things. Like I would take the stuff, like whenever they gave me that stuff, I would take it and feel nothing. Like nothing felt different. And I would just lay down and be like, well, I hope it's working, because I can't tell.
Yeah, because like when I didn't go to the doctor, I I would take like ibuprofen every 4 hours, like just 4 of them in my hand. And I was like, oh, this is not good for my stomach and kidneys. But you know, the thing is, it's like, I
think it's liver.
It sucks.
I think that stuff deals with the liver.
But but yeah, you know, like that's why I've been in your position. It sucks. I hate it every minute of it. It sucks because you can't bend over. Going to the bathroom's an issue. Going anywhere is an issue.
The issue is like bending is not an issue. Like I'm able to bend. Like it still hurts. Like if I try a squat, like for sure I'm not doing that. But like bending or like bending, like right now I'm technically like hunching over to my right. No, it feels better because of that.
Yeah.
And there's a side of me that thinks maybe it's not like sciatica and they're just misdiagnosing it because like it was initially sciatica, but now like I did something that like misplaced my hip or my bone, like a bone or something like that, and the bone is pressing on something that's giving me this pain, and it won't go away until it gets reset correctly.
That happened to one of our buddies actually, where it was like a disc was bulging onto the sciatic, and then he actually, I don't, you know, I do trust that kind of position, but he went to a chiropractor, and the chiropractor like put him on some good medicine, and then also like corrected his stance a little bit, and supposedly it helped him. So I was like, oh, that's cool, you know, and like, I was like, yeah.
There's a side of me that like I expressed it to my roommate that I'm like, I don't like chiropractors because whenever we went there, whenever I was little, it messed me up. But
are you talking about Steinmetz?
I don't remember who they were. I just remember doing the thing and then just instantly being like, I regret this. It hurts so much, and it hurt so much more for days after. And then whenever it's like, well, if you go back, it'll feel good. And it's like, no, I refuse to go back there. And then like the pain slowly went away because it fixed. But
I had the same problem with that chiropractor. And then like I started going to a kid that I went to high school in, his chiropractic business. And like he's way better than that chiropractor ever was. So I was like, okay, I believe in chiropractors again a little bit. So, you know, but it was also like,
I would like to go to, I wish I could go to the orthopedic sooner. I would have loved it if like the people at urgent care is like, let's just do some x-rays, see if we see anything. And then they saw like, oh my gosh, your leg is dislocated. we can fix that right away. We'll just put you on some like hard like painkillers, and then we're going to sit here and just pop in for you real quickly, and wow, the pain's gone. Like, I wanted that so bad to be the case, but they're just like, no, we're not going to do nothing. You should go to your orthopedic and spend more money. I'm like, oh, okay.
Well, I've also learned that like some urgent cares are not really great. So then I go to the ER and then they're like, oh no, it's this really, you know, and then it works. And I'm like, why do they do there? And it's like, oh, it's because like, you know, there's some times like the problem that you have with urgent care, and like I had that problem before where like people go in and they say that they have pain, so they won't put them on painkillers or anything because of addiction and stuff. So and they look at that and they're like, oh, this guy's just in here for pain meds, and I'm like, no, I'm in pain.
Yeah, I definitely like, I get that, but it's just one of those things that it's like, I've been here twice, mates. Like the first guy was like, we could do it, but probably won't show anything. So I recommend not doing it. Just do this and you'll feel better. And then it's like, I did the thing. I don't feel better. And then I come in, I get someone else, and then they're just like, yeah, here, we'll put you on something else and you probably won't feel better. But hey, go to orthopedic. I'll give you some people you should contact. Oops, not in your service, even though like you knew who my provider was whenever I gave it to you, whenever I entered. So whatever. What can you do? Anyways, Austin, despite all that horrible stuff, that is the horrific decision of our government and our medical system. Let's talk about another government that got trampled after they completely left the lower people out of the loop. In Castlevania Nocturne, Austin, is what we watched this week. Technically last week, but whatever. So I have to ask, Austin, what do you think of Castlevania Nocturne?
I will say this. I did like the original. I like the last anime better. I will say that. But this is a good start. I think a lot of people, like the people that I talk to that are huge Castlevania fans, like I am, they kind of know, like, you know, like they're kind of harsh on it because they're like, oh, it was kind of boring. And there was like 2 gripes that I had with it, really. But overall, I didn't mind it. And the thing is what makes these great, like, let's be real, is they're 8 episodes. They're 20 minutes each. You know, like
it's really short.
You don't have to like focus. You don't have to like put a whole freaking week into it, like trying to watch an episode a day or 3 episodes a day, you know. Because sometimes I forget about like watching things, and then like it gets close to Wednesday, and I'm like, I got like 4 episodes.
I binge like 3 episodes in a single day.
Yeah, and then it's awful because I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, snooze fest. And the thing is what's weird is like I used to be that person that loved the 45-minute shows, and like now I'm getting to that point where I'm like, if you can do it in half an hour, I'm gonna watch your show more likely than watching an hour show. You know, like. I just got done watching the Boys spinoff, Gen V or whatever. So like those episodes are an hour, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it just drug on. And I was like, man, I'm not like that anymore. I like the 20 to 30 minute, you know, it's a sweet spot for me. Sometimes I could do 40 maybe, but I don't think 45 to like an hour, I just can't do it anymore.
Yeah. Only the shows that I really like am I okay with being like 45 minutes to an hour. Like watching Good Omens, I enjoyed every minute of it.
That makes sense, but there's only 6 episodes.
Yeah,
so like
it's
that
quick.
Makes sense. Like
that's where a lot of the issue comes from. Like, to me, I'm getting to the point now where I'm like, I'm more okay with shows being only 8 episodes long. If they're 45-minute episodes, 8 episodes, great. Fine. If they're 30 minutes, I'm okay with them going on like 12 or 15 episode. But when you get the nice 30-minute episodes that are only 8 episodes long, there's just a level of like, I appreciate this so much more because they're able to tell the story, they can get to the points, and they don't have to sit there and dredge on like scenerific or like establishing things to hopefully try to like make it seem more artistic or anything like that.
Yeah, and the thing is like I also get to a point too where, you know, when Netflix came out, it also does replayability for me.
Yeah.
Like replayability of watching something, like rewatching something, replayability, rewatching something is what I want. Like I want to be like, hey, this is a good series. The only time that I've ever really rewatched anything was probably Breaking Bad, Shameless, and Better Call Saul. And like I like those stories, but the thing is like a lot of the other shows I don't rewatch because of that. Like Daredevil is 13 episodes and they're an hour long each. Yeah. And like there's 3 seasons. I love Daredevil, but how many times have I watched it? Maybe twice. And then one time, I think 2 times in the second season and like 2 times in the third season because we did it on the podcast. But it's just getting to a point where like I have to watch it enough to want to rewatch it if it's going to be an hour-long episode. This kind of stuff I can watch and blow through it and be like, oh, that was fun. Like I've watched Castlevania season 1 more than like 6 times, or Futurama for an instance. You know, like I've watched Futurama so many times. But yeah, I enjoyed this. There was 2 things that I have to gripe about with it, and the 2 gripes that I have is, one, I think Richter getting his powers back took a little bit longer than it should have. I think like maybe the 3rd episode in, they kind of should have done that, because it felt like the first couple episodes, like the first episode was okay, like it was setting up everything, but then it like kind of dragged on a little bit too much than what I wanted. And then I was like, okay, he should have had his like powers back at like episode 3 so that it would keep me going till that. Because they kind of wait until like, what was it, like the second to last episode to like give Richter his powers back. Yeah. And I was like, you know, it kind of, what it did was it took me out of the, like, it just didn't give me enough excitement. There was like 2 episodes where they really didn't do anything at all. You know, there was some action beats, but they weren't great action beats. And the second one was the setup for Alucard at the end of this show. Yeah, irked me. It irked me because he came out of nowhere. There was no like allusion to that, and like, or any type of like setup for Alucard, and it kind of felt like he was out of place. It kind of reminded me of like Batman being in Dark Justice League in the animated show, where it's like, bam, I'm Batman, and it's like, why is Batman here? Like, it just didn't work for me. I was a little upset about it.
I'll echo that point. Alucard coming in last second made me feel like a little like, okay, I feel like they're just bringing back like someone who everyone knows and likes.
Yeah.
Obviously Nocturne is supposed to set us up for Symphony of the Night if they ever do it, or maybe they'll even bring in Symphony of the Night as like a part of Nocturnus. But as it stands now, it's like, okay, sure, yeah. Let's get Alucard in there. Everyone liked Alucard. The funny thing is like, I didn't even realize like Richter, or it's Richter, right?
Yeah,
it's not
Richter.
Yeah, Richter. Yeah. Richter didn't have powers this whole time. I thought he just was not very good at magic, and he was just really relying on the whip. Which, to be fair, I'm like, that's mainly how the games kind of work. Is like you're just using the whip always, and you just have objects to use. And then he like gets the magic back and he's just like, I'm freaking amazing at magic. And I'm like, okay, like I didn't know this was a thing that was happening through this. Like it wasn't really explained like, oh, I can't do magic because like magic scares me or because X, Y, and Z. It's like, no,
well,
I
they
just
kind of hinted at it because like when he was talking with like, I forget her, Maria, I think that's her name. Like he said something about it where he was like, yeah, I lost my powers when I was like 12 after that incident. Like, I just haven't been able to use them again. And I'm like, okay, so he has powers, but what does he have as power-wise? Because the only thing we see before is, like, him shooting the fire at
that's my issue, right? It's like, oh, I lost my powers or whatnot. And it's just like, what powers did you have?
Yeah.
Like, at least what should have happened, actually, is it should have been Justy who got his magic back. And then he protects Richter, and then he looks to Richter and he's like, now that I have my magic back, I'm going to teach you how to do magic, and you'll be better than I could ever hope to be.
Yeah, like his grandpa kind of come off kind of like naive, like he was just kind of an idiot sometimes, in my opinion.
It's not even that, he just comes off as super selfish, and like it's kind of like a dumb thing. Like you're part of this family of like Belmonts, and you know your daughter died, and you have your like grandson, and your first response is to, like, tell him I die. I'll just watch him from the shadows. Like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Like,
Yeah, like,
what is this? Come on.
I didn't want him to know that I was alive. I'm like,
That's
bro,
dumb.
you could have been helping him the whole time because you knew that, like,
He needed love, man. His mom got murdered in front of him.
What a douche.
Because of him. Like, that is the one thing that I'm like, he doesn't really explain very much. I'm like, his mom died because of Richter. Because Richter tried to jump in there and she like did what she did. He killed his mom. Now, granted, to be fair, that other vampire is like super OP, and I don't understand. That's probably my only issue with this show, right? I'm used to Castlevania being about Dracula.
Yeah.
Always Dracula. It all comes back to Dracula. And so whenever you had all these aristocratic vampires and they're like, we're going to bring the Messiah. The Messiah is coming here. My initial and first instinct was, okay, they're going to resurrect Dracula. That's the whole point of these people. Which, to be fair, is exactly what happens in every single Castlevania. Dracula doesn't want to come back. Humankind and vampires bring him back. But then it's like, no, just some other vampire who's apparently super strong. And I'm just like, where was this vampire during Dracula's conquest?
Yeah.
Like, why wasn't this vampire, like, brought up or done anything like that?
Or even, like, part of, like, the three sisters.
Yeah.
That were, like, you know, collecting all these vampires. Like, what's this all about? I don't really... Because... how the Volro guy, or whatever his name is, the guy that kills Richter's mom, states that he was like this powerful vampire and like everyone knew who he was. He's the Aztec, supposedly. That's what
they call him.
Yeah, so like I don't really understand where all they were, like where they were really, like when everything was going on, because if Dracula is the king and you guys want to follow that, like, you know, he's our master thing, don't you think he'd be part of that war?
It just doesn't make sense. And like it needed to be expanded more in the original series. And to keep introducing more and more vampires who are like supposed to be super powerful or whatnot, it just feels kind of like disingenuous. Even if they I think I would be more okay with it if they took some time to dive into the vampires like history and they just straight out like fly out, like, you know, there was originally like 7 great vampire lords, and the reason why they're called the Great Vampire Lords is because they were the progenitors of the vampires. And you have Dracula, you have the Aztec, you have the Messiah, you have like, and they all went to different areas of the world and they made their home. Each of them did their own deed in the form of like what they set up. Like Dracula, he didn't really want to bring more vampires in, so he kind of just self-isolated and just worked on his gadgets. The Aztec wanted people to worship him, so he like became like a god to them type of thing. And like explain this and like set up, make it known that it's like, look, there are vampires who are on equal level of Dracula. However, they don't live in the same area, and thus they refuse to help each other. That's why you don't see them in the other shows. Boom, I would be happy. That's all I need. It's the fact that they keep introducing vampires that I'm just like, I don't care. The funny thing is they introduced Camilla in the original series, and Camilla was like an earlier version of Dracula before in like book wise, like Camilla came out before Dracula. But it's still one of those funny things that it's like they used her, like she should have been one of the original vampires. Like if she should have been like a vampire lord like everyone else, but they just made her kind of like a vampire trying to get stronger. And so like, yeah, that's where I'm kind of like, I don't know, man. We'll see.
There was another small gripe, but I kind of got over it. It was more of like the night creatures like talking. I didn't understand how they could like remember their stuff. And hopefully they explain that, because like in the original, they were like ruthless, you know, these ruthless things that had no brain left. They were dead. Like, you know,
they were mindless monsters.
Yeah, and it just doesn't make sense now where it's like, oh, these ones can connect now and they talk, and like you're like, okay.
So how my brain's been kind of like explaining that is that they're not really being forged. they're being
Yeah, they're
created
being
from
processed.
machine. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they don't have they don't have lifeless minds in them. They're like full on people still. Like they're still like bound to the Forge Master, but it's very, very like weak because he can't control them because he's not actually the Forge Master.
Yeah.
I think what would be great is that we find out that they're like this machine that came from hell. They're like, it's making all these people, and the abbot's like, oh, I need to make these for these vampires, blah blah blah. And then like they find out that gate of hell opens up, out comes Isaac or
Yeah.
something like that, and he's like a new demon lord essentially. And he explains that like, I gave you this whole time. You think you've been the Forge Master. I'm the Forge Master, and I'm here to bring back my master Dracula, and I'm going to make this work, or have death come back. Because they like, the one thing that the original Castlevania show did that I think hurts this show is it used a lot of the powerhouses every season.
Yeah.
They, instead of them doing it where like they did, where it's like each season there was like a big bad guy, they should did like each, like the season was like 3 seasons to take care of Dracula and his minions. And then you basically get told like, yeah, you take care of us, we'll come back. Because like they kill Death in the show. And it's like, well, if Death doesn't show back up, I'm going to be disappointed because Death is always present because Death can't die. He just respawns. But how they make it seem in the show is that he's gone, slash at least gone for this guy is dead, and he's not really Death. Because they were like, he's a vampire. He's like the original vampire. Like whatever. I want to see him come back and be like, I'm back. You can kill me, and it just takes time, but I'll be back, and I'm inevitable. And then he's like, you know who else is Dracula, and all this stuff. It just didn't make sense to me that like this priest got like this devil forge machine, and I'm like, this devil forge machine has to be connected to Isaac or something to like make it like a big reveal. Because if it's just like he just makes a pact with the devil when he gets this forge machine, I'm like, that's the weakest sauce in the world for why there's night creatures again.
Yeah, like
they could at that point, I'm like, just make the priest a actual forge master. Like, don't make it a machine. Like, it doesn't affect the story if it doesn't have something to do with the fact that like it's connected to hell and that there's a portal to hell that can be created. I'm like, there has to be something there. They have to explore it. If they don't, I'm going to be severely sad. When it comes to the other characters of the show, and sorry if I'm kind of rambling at this point, I'm seriously thinking, like the one guy who dies, who becomes a devil, I was kind of like, I'm sad he's dead, but he wasn't doing much. Like, he was just a normal guy. Him singing now is like, that's interesting. We'll see what that matters. Richter, I think, was fine. I enjoyed Richter. Maria, I liked them all switching it into like the French Revolution, that really playing a big part.
That was fun.
I enjoyed that. The other elemental girl, I get her whole like process and her involvement. But because I've never heard of her before, or maybe I don't know who she is, I'm not as interested in her because of the fact that she's not like a game character I care about, right? Yeah. Like, I've played games with Richter, I played games with Maria, I've played games with Alucard. That's why I like those characters, because I played those games and I like to see their adaptations. I don't know who this character is, and maybe it is actually based off of a character that I just don't connect or don't know. And that makes sense. Like, whenever I saw Justy, my first instinct was like, did I play the game with him? Or is he in a game or something? It's like, oh, he's a functional person. Like, I looked him up on Wiki. He has his own thing. So I'm like, he must be a character, or at least like a side character to some degree. Julia, like, she got nerfed. Like, that's not going to be a thing. No. And I'm like, what about Simon? Like, will we ever see Simon? Like, will we see, like, it's just, those little things, I'm like, those are who I care about. And so whenever they introduce new characters, they have to make an impact on me in a way that makes me want to invest in them.
I think that how they could have solved the problem of like my problem with Alucard showing up at the last minute is if he showed up at the last episode before the final. And I think that like that would have been a little bit more better.
Or make it that like the one girl, right, says that she has a friend coming. Like he has agreed to help them and he has been sending them letters this whole time. And then like you can just like have this thing where it's just like, my friend's coming, he's bringing an army with him, like we are going to take these people, like and she keeps saying that and she keeps saying that, and then people are like, okay, yeah, sure, whatever, like when will your friend get here, what makes them so good? It's just like he's an expert on vampires or whatever like that. And then he shows up, and then have her be like, you finally made it. And then have like, the funny thing is, right, in the games, especially in the what was it, it's not Harmony of Despair, it's the other, it's the one with Soma in it. The whole game you're interacting with this person that you're like, he's like a teacher at the school the whole time.
Yeah.
And then at the end it gets revealed it's Alucard. He just changed his hair and everything to fit in, and he's been helping you out because he knows what you're doing. And I'm like, they could have done that here, where like you get told about her like ally named like Frederick Leor or something like that, and he's coming. And then when he shows up and he like does what he did, like Alucard shows up there and they're all like, whoa. And then she's like, Frederick. He's just like, he's like, I have come, blah, blah, blah. Then it's like, okay, they set it up early. They pay it off. We now know who this Frederick person is. They could change up how Alucard looks a little bit and explain it that like he's changing with the times. But whenever he just shows up and he looks exactly like he did in the last series, nothing different, you're just kind of like, okay.
Yeah, it is what it is. You know, and I think I will give the benefit of the doubt with this season is I think second season will be a lot better because you do have Alucard, and a lot of people are always excited for Alucard, and a lot of people love
I'm
Richter.
excited for Alucard, and I was upset that Alucard showed up like that, but I'm still like, I'm still gonna be excited to have Alucard. Like,
yeah, of course,
it's Alucard. Come on,
who doesn't want his flying sword? Like, you know, that has murdered multiple people. But you know, that's the thing. Like, now the good things I will say about the show is some of the power-ups and effects that I did see, I enjoyed.
Like the animations?
Yeah, some of the animations were really good. There was a 3D animation that it was just small, but it drove me nuts for a minute.
There was a couple, actually.
Yeah, like, but the one that I remember the most is like the book. I was like, oof. You know, like they did like this 3D motion with the book and the 3D thing, and I was like, stop. The only problem I have is there is one animation bit, and that's the one girl that works for the Messiah with the purple hair.
Oh, yeah.
Some of her animation kind of felt sloppy to me. It's because of how she's like animated, in my opinion. I think
she's definitely stylized. Like she's intentionally made in a way to make her like super rigid and like zoomy.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying. To me, I'm like, hey, I survived the Naruto animation craze, so that didn't bother me whatsoever. I would rather have like her fluid kind of like extreme edgy style versus like the super over beautification that they're doing occasionally in the show.
Yeah.
Like sometimes characters are just like doing actions and they're just doing it in the most elegant way possible, and it's like, why are you doing it elegantly though? Like, what's the point of it?
That and like the episode where Richter's like running away.
Oh yeah.
Like the beginning of that episode, I was just like, I didn't like the animation there. I thought it was kind of like too much. It was just thrashy, like how she's animated, and I was okay with it for a minute, but then I was like, this is starting to get a little rough on me. But animation wise, there is some really good shots. The scene where she like kills her vampire that enslaved her.
Oh yeah, with the little
really
chaining him
enjoyed-
in there
it
as
was
the sun
great.
comes up.
It's
Yeah.
a solid thing. It's like, yep, guess what? You made me suffer for being a slave. You're gonna watch your death slowly. It's kind of like Interview with a Vampire, like when when they like put him in that tunnel, the well thing, and well, What We Do in the Shadows. That's funny too, and then Colin Robinson shows up with an umbrella, like it's like I found it. But the thing is like there was some really good parts, and I think Richter getting his powers back and then using them in the whip is great. It was fun. There was a lot of there was one thing is they didn't catch me on the plot twist that was in this season, and that was like
the abbot.
Yeah, like I was like, wait, if she knows how to get down there, she knows someone, and I'm guessing it's gonna set up that she's his dad.
The second that the abbot and like the mother is like relatively like he's a good man, even though he's obviously doing bad things.
Oh yeah.
My brain's like it's going to be like she loves him or like he's her dad.
Mm-hmm.
And then sure enough, they're like he's your father, and I was like, oh my gosh.
I didn't see that coming from a mile away.
Though I also called the whole thing about her being like, take me instead of my daughter, whenever he's like, God gave Isaac a lamb, why did he not give me a lamb? And I'm like, the wife is your girlfriend's going to be the lamb by, like, that's what you're going to rationalize. And sure enough, she's like, I'm the lamb. I choose me instead, the stronger and more reliable magician. Yeah. It's a bad decision, and it would make for a good story in season 2 when they have to kill me.
Yeah, when they have to kill you or something. Oh man. Yeah, like no, there were some good action scenes in this show. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the powers of the one girl that could like pretty much like the same girl that killed her own like slave owner.
Yeah, like the metal, like she's like an elemental master. Which
she can, like, make her own like weapons.
During the scene where she's like pushing the hell thing into the portal, the forge, she uses Papa Ligma.
Oh yeah, Papa Ligma from the Voodoo. From we saw him in Freight Crew.
Yeah. So whenever she like calls on to him, my brains went like, oh, is that like the concept, like the origin of her power? It's like she's supposed to be like where Maria uses like all these angelical things from like whatever she is. She's like a speaker hybrid. I don't know what she is, to be fair. Is she supposed to be like the voodoo side of magic to fight Dracula? I didn't really catch that. I don't know if that was said and I just missed it or what, but I was like, I'm kind of for that. I like that. I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
The issue is like I liked her character. I was interested in her character, but I felt like because I'm a fan of the series of Castlevania, I was like, I want to see more of the other people because I like those people. You have to do a lot of like lifting to get me to like you. And as it is now, you're at a disadvantage because of how much I like those other people. Like, it's too bad. Like, it just feels bad.
Well, see, oh man, what was the other thing that I complained about? Oh yeah, I forgot. There's one more complaint, and that's the part where Richter goes into the bar, and he can't afford the food or the drink, and he's like, "You can wash dishes," and then the one guy's like, "He said put it on my tab." Right when he said that, and they point him to the old man, I was like, he knows who he is, and then
So I initially thought that's when Alucard was going to show up.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like, I'm old guy Alucard, and I've come to help you. But it's like, what? How'd you grow a beard, Alucard? Like, and then it's like, I kind of knew then.
And then when he was like, wait a minute, she didn't tell you. I was like, if you wanted to avoid this man all the time, you didn't want to avoid it. You wanted to avoid him completely. You wouldn't pay for his tab. You would try to just stay in the back of the.
You also wouldn't grab his whip and kill the van. You would let him do it, right?
Yeah, like just let him do it. And I was like, nope.
Yeah, that scene was nothing more than like
goofy.
It's just meant to like show off Justine.
Oof.
And then there's like, all right,
that's all it was. It was like, oh, look at this old man. He can still kick it. Yeah. It's like, no. But yeah, there's.
I still like the show. Like, there's a lot of things I like.
Average.
I think it's going to be better in season 2. I think if you're a fan of the original, you'll like it just because it is a continuation. But I do think the storytelling in the first series was a little bit better. But I'll still give this the chance. Like I think it can easily catch up.
It's like a 7 out of 10 for me.
Yeah,
like it's a 7 out of 10. Like it's good, but it's not a masterpiece. I think season 1 of Castlevania original will always be one of my favorite like Castlevania
that was probably my favorite of all.
Because the ending is so epic when you find out that like they killed Dracula, and like watching Alucard cry because he killed his dad. Like that is,
and then like the whole scene where like
good.
the emotional scene of Dracula beating the ever-living crap out of Alucard and then stopping, looking at himself, at him like bloodied child, and he starts crying, saying he's like, I'm killing my boy. I'm killing my boy. And he starts crying uncontrollably. That hits hard.
They killed my boy. They killed my boy. Sigurd Duggery would be so proud.
it would be like it would be like the level of like emotion I would expect from like what's it called, like Omni-Man, like what I thought Omni-Man would do whenever he beats the crap out of Invincible and then starts like crying uncontrollably. But he doesn't. He just beats the crap out of him, and then he gets angry at him for being like, it's like, why are you not like me?
But he did. Yeah, he did stop because he said, why would you want to live in a planet when everyone else is gone and like this? And Mark utters like through the blood,
he's like, I still have you.
I still would have you. And then that's when he leaves. So that's what's great about that is like that emotion that's built up there. And then just you just don't have that with the cast so far.
Yeah. Now I think we'll see it in the next season if the mom becomes a vampire or whatever, they have to kill her. I don't know. We'll see. I still gotta understand how the heck, just because the mom turns into a vampire doesn't mean that she'll forget her memories, is it? Like she won't just become evil, does it? I don't know.
I don't know how that works.
Yeah,
because it's
they'll have to explain it. They'll have to explain it because
it didn't make sense. It has to explain because it doesn't make sense to me right now. Because if it's like, oh, you can turn me into a vampire, then I'll just like corrupt your whole system because I'm a good person. Like, you know, even though I'm a good vampire.
Turn me into a vampire, and now you have an immoral person who will kill other vampires like Alucard. Like, I don't know. Like,
the real question is, where is Nandor? Where is no, I'm just kidding.
They haven't been born yet.
Yeah.
Or they're all chilling in Ohio.
Yeah.
All right, Austin. Yeah. Do you have anything you want to say?
No, I think
wrap up, or you think we're good?
I think this is good. Like it's a 7 out of 10. I think if you like Castlevania, you'll love. You know, you'll care about it. But there is a lot of problems I do have with the storytelling in the show.
Yeah.
But overall, it was fine. Like it, you know, anything that's 8 episodes, 20 minutes each, I'll blast through it. You know, there's some things where I'll be like, ugh, people told me not really great. But you know, it's what it is. Like, you know, it's gonna be, you know, it was fun. I think season 2 is going to be a lot better. I think because it will set up a lot more opportunities for like emotion, character development, and stuff like that. And I think also Richter is going to probably get an upgrade here soon. So
Richter will get upgrade, or I don't know. We'll see. I'm in the same boat, Austin, where I'm like, I enjoyed it. I liked it. I think the next season will be better. Hopefully, the next season will be better. Because I would hate for it to be worse. I'll still be like looking out for it because I enjoy it enough, you know. And that's my kind of thought process, my take on it.
You know, in Castlevania, like the first anime kind of had like this thing where it was like the first season is like this big epic thing, and then season 2 was kind of like, eh. It was then season 3 came out, and season 3 was at that level of goodness, and you're like, oh, okay, they saved itself from being terrible, you know. So but it's like
it still was a downward spiral. Like
it was
to be fair, like the first season of Castlevania was so well done that they couldn't reach the same level, and I don't think they tried to, and that's fair. But with this new series, they have to do something to get to that level, to like bring it towards that point. And so I don't know. We're going to find out in season 3 that the Aztec turned Richter's mom into a vampire, and we'll have a vampire Belmont that they have to kill, and that's going to be the big thing. And he's like, I'm killing my mom! I'm killing my mom! So, who knows? All right, Austin, I think that
Yeah.
basically does it for this episode of Bros and Shows. Next week, we'll be watching Scott Pilgrim versus the World, the anime or animation trailer thing. Comes out on Netflix on the 17th or something like that.
Yep,
So
which is 2 days from now.
y'all enjoy it. Austin, thank you so much for joining me on this episode.
Yeah,
It was fun.
yeah.
I'm glad we were able to do it.
Yeah.
And thank you all so much for stopping by, and thank you all so much tuning in.